Star Wars doesn't need an introduction. The reason you're watching this video right now is because you're probably like me and you're a big fan of the Star Wars films. Since I was a little kid, I have been obsessed with the original 6 films, owning several different versions of them on various platforms, prop replicas, helmets, and I mean a lot of helmets, toys, and even a few pieces from Empire Strikes Back's production. But most importantly, and the main focus of this video, I own a bunch of LEGO Star Wars pieces. But my love for LEGO Star Wars primarily stems from this, my original copy of LEGO Star Wars the video game on my original GameCube. I cannot tell you how many hours I have poured into this game, 100% completing it countless times and replaying my favorite levels over and over and over again. And one of my favorite aspects of the game are the minifigures. Out of the 56 minifigures you can play as in the game, only 19 of them actually exist as minifigures 100% accurate to what was sold by LEGO. 23 of the figures are close to what LEGO sold but not 100% accurate, and the other 14 were completely made up figures that never got an actual release, or at least not in the way they were shown in-game. And I quickly realized as a kid, thanks to Google, and trying to actually find these minifigures to own them, that most of these figures didn't exist. So I kind of just gave up on that idea. But as I got older, as well as the custom LEGO community getting bigger, that opportunity seemed to grow. And so 3 years ago, yes, you heard that right, 3 years ago, I decided it was time to do some research and to start saving up some money in order to achieve the goal of owning every LEGO Star Wars the video game character in real life. I knew this wasn't going to be a simple task, but between patience and finding the right people selling the right stuff, I knew that I could achieve my goal. So before going any deeper into this challenge, I decided I was going to set 3 rules for myself. The first rule is the most basic, I would say, which is getting the most accurate pieces for the character. That includes flesh tone colors instead of the yellow, that includes parts, that includes everything. The only things that I didn't really modify were some of the characters like the Wookiees, Yoda, and General Grievous with coloring in the eyes, but that's because I didn't want to completely destroy my old figures. The next rule I kind of mentioned, but that is buying custom figures and pieces. I know some people are against using non-LEGO things or modified LEGO things, but for the purposes of this collection and for completing my goal, I'm going to have to get these parts. And the last rule is not overspending. I know some of this stuff can get extremely expensive, and I don't want to break the bank trying to buy one little bitty old figure a piece. So with our 3 rules out of the way, let's begin. So I decided to clear out a section on my Star Wars shelves for these figures. I figured this area would give me plenty of room to make some type of display piece for all of them. And here's the little display that I have built. It's nothing crazy or, really fancy. It's just a simple display method for all these figures. It's 3 bricks and about 2 plates high, giving each figure enough space to be seen. In the back of the display, I left open so you could kind of see what I've done here. It's held up with these 3 columns, which gives everything a nice balanced support. And also I had this little bitty attachment right here. You're going to see why this is going to be useful later on in the video. I didn't want this to just be the display in this area, so I looked through all my stuff to see what I had that could tie back into the video game. I added my original 1999 Vulture droid with its box. This set didn't have to be modified in any way, so I just put it up to be standing and let it roll. And on the other side of the display, I put my AT-RT from 2005. I did have to modify this a little bit, pointing out these little, I guess they're supposed to be piston pieces, and adding an extra blaster. I also put these 2 sets on each side, one being from episode 1 and then one being from episode 3, going left to right. And I also decided to add a few more things to this display. I made these crates from the game. You can see these in episode 1. Now the little grill pieces in the game are in 3 different colors. You have a light gray, the dark gray, and then like a blue color. I decided to go with the dark gray because I feel that looks best. And of course, this display wouldn't be complete without at least one mini kit. So now it was time to rummage through all my stuff to see what figures I already had. I had the episode 3 clone trooper, the clone pilot, the walker clone, and the standard battle droid. All you need to make this figure accurate is a 1x2 plate that matches the color of the droid, as well as a little black antenna. So let's get these figures on the stand. So it was here I realized that I was going to have to make a lot of purchases in order to complete this task. I had several of the figures already outside of these 4 that were fully complete, but they weren't 100% accurate. So I hopped on eBay and I started ordering parts. I also decided that I was going to start venturing down the custom path and went to Fig Fab Labs. I looked under the Galactic Collection, picked a figure, ordered it, and waited to see what my product was going to be like. I also found SM Minifigures on Instagram, and I decided to order some decals from him. Now, he is located in Europe, I believe Germany, so he does have a Bricks and Recreations page if you want to order any of his decals. So now I just had to wait for all my packages to arrive, and then I could start updating and making new minifigures. And once the packages got here, I was super excited to put everything together. This Jango Fett is the first ever figure that I've applied decals to, and I think I did a pretty good job. The helmet came off of an AliExpress bootleg white Boba Fett, and the rest of the pieces are actual Lego. Now, an important little detail, the decals that I had came with a blue little antenna piece, but I had to cut that off because that's not accurate to the GameCube version of Jango Fett. Also got my Fig Fab Labs order, and holy cow, this figure looked amazing. The hair is not 100% accurate, but I plan on changing that later. I was also able to piece together an original Phase 1 clone. Now, if you look really close at the torso, you will notice that it's in the older gray color. And this is really apparent when you compare it to like a newer Phase 2. And this little detail is carried over in the game. And to complete the order, I got the parts to make our first Anakin off the list. Anakin Skywalker Boy. Yes, that's his actual name in the game. The head is not 100% accurate, but it's super close. So with that first run of orders being pretty successful, I decided that I was going to double down and order a bunch more parts to really get this character completion goal on track. And so between Fig Fab Labs and eBay, here's what I was able to come up with. And here's Qui-Gon Jinn. His hair is the old brown color, but that will be upgraded soon. We have Obi-Wan Padawan. Now the head is up for debate. Some people don't prefer the official Lego head, some do. I do, so I'm just going to use it. And we also have episode 3 Obi-Wan. So the legs are not 100% accurate. I believe the in-game color of his legs doesn't actually exist as an official piece. So this is just one of those moments where it has to be within reason. And to keep with the theme of the General Grievous level, here is the Commander Cody. Now his pauldron is a reproduction and it's about half the size of the real one. However, this is another one of those things that I plan on upgrading in the future. But let's go ahead and add these figures to the display. I was also able to complete a few more figures with this order, being Padme. It's the Tatooine version, although in the game she's just labeled as Padme. Captain Panaka. I swapped out the arms with a lighter shade because that's a bit more game accurate. The Disguise clone. The head, I actually ordered 2 and put 1 on Jango Fett, and the hood is the old brown, but that's another thing that will be upgraded. And Mace Windu, and oh my god, this figure looks amazing. Fig Fab Labs did an amazing job with this one. Now this is where I was going to hit a roadblock. I was out of chrome hilts and I was out of capes, and these are going to be two vital pieces to complete the rest of these figures. Buying the official chrome hilts is around $7 to $8 a piece, and that's just not reasonable, and the capes are also around $6 to $7 a piece, and again, not reasonable. So I looked for alternatives. I stumbled across capes for minifigures. Not only did these guys sell capes for an affordable price, but they also had a reproduction of the classic General Grievous cape, so I went ahead and ordered those. And for chrome pieces, I found Chrome Block City. Now, you see this little red area right here. This is going to come into effect later on. Both capes for minifigures and Chrome Block City are located in Europe, so I had to wait a while for the packages to get here, but while I was waiting on them, I was able to complete a few more figures. I was able to get the classic R2-D2, as well as the classic C-3PO. At the time of the game's release, the only C-3PO that was available was a light pearl gold version. Now in the game, he is chrome, so I'm going to have to update this later, but for right now, this is a great placeholder. I also got the Magna Guard. His cape needs to be about half the size, so I will get an upgrade for that later. And the head is not 100% accurate, but it's close enough. I also completed the Episode 3 Swamp clone. Now in-game, his character icon is green based off the original Swamp Clone Trooper. However, the character itself is based off the 501st. And it looks really good. I'm surprised LEGO never actually released one of these back in the day. And we've also knocked out our two Wookiees on the list, being Chewbacca and the other one simply being named Wookiee. And it's here that I'm going to add a new rule to the list, and it's going to be selective modification. I've decided that I'm not going to modify some of these figures to give them the extra little details, especially in the eyes. This mainly counts for characters like Chewbacca, General Grievous, and Yoda, and any other character that has eyes that are detailed in the game, but their minifigure counterpart does not. I don't want to risk damaging my own childhood minifigures doing this, and also I just prefer that nostalgic, undetailed look. There's just something about it that screams early 2000s LEGO Star Wars. I also got Princess Leia, R4-P17, and Jar Jar Binks. Now in the game, his legs sometimes appear to be light bluish gray instead of dark bluish gray. I went back and forth on this for several weeks. Actually, I would change it, and then I'd finally decide to compare it to other characters in the game. And his legs are slightly darker in game than this standard light bluish gray. So for this, I'm just going to use the dark bluish gray legs. And while I was getting those figures completed, my packages finally arrived from overseas. And now I was able to complete Yoda with his staff, Luminara, Darth Vader. Now the Darth Vader in-game has a gray button instead of a blue on the chest button console, but that is a rare variant of the figure, and I'm not going to spend $100 just for a torso piece. And here is Vader's head. Now in-game it is blank with just a few of the scars whenever, the character's killed and the head comes out of the helmet, but no one's ever going to see that, and I'm not going to damage this figure just to make it look like that. We now have Darth Maul, and I will be replacing the hilt with a more accurate one later. And we have two more Anakins. I got Anakin Padawan and Anakin Episode 3. Now this Anakin is a bit of a challenge to get. The little headpiece that came on the minifigure I just removed, and I shouldn't have done that, but I did. But the hair was the most challenging part. In-game, Anakin's hair is the reddish-brown color, but LEGO has never released this hair piece in that color. So I decided to see if I can make my own by repainting. From left to right, we have the original piece, which came with the minifigure. It's more of like a dirty blonde color. In the middle is the old brown hair piece, and on the right is a piece that I painted. And I think it looks very close to LEGO's reddish-brown. And here it is next to a reddish-brown minifigure. It's a bit darker and a bit more red, but from a distance you really cannot tell a difference. So with that being said, let's add all these to the display. Now we're really starting to get somewhere with this collection. After getting all those figures put together and put on the display, I was able to complete 2 more minifigures. Those being TC14. Again, I'm going to have to get a chrome version of this, but that's in the works. And these decals were also made by SM Minifigures, and they just look fantastic. And I was also able to complete Count Dooku. Now, originally I had Fig Fab Labs Dooku torso on this minifigure, but a week or two after completing this figure and getting all the parts for it, I found a listing for an original Dooku torso, so I just went ahead and purchased that and swapped it out. They both look fantastic though. Now it was time to start looking for more parts and ordering them. Yes, you read that right, 2 years later. I got really busy with my job as well as my schooling in college, so I didn't really have any more time to focus on these minifigures. And to jump ahead a little bit, I will mention this again towards the end, but I had an Instagram page dedicated to this collection, and I did update it midway through the year, somewhere in there of 2024, but it was already figures that I already completed, and I just wanted to give a quick update, and I didn't have time to really go back to it. But after I had graduated, I decided it was time to get back into buying these figures. I started hopping back on eBay, looking at my custom sellers, as well as going on Bricklink for the more obscure pieces that I knew I was going to have to track down. And here's what I got. To start me off from this 2-year hiatus, I got the Stormtrooper. Now this character caused me a lot of spending and aggravation. I bought 4 different versions of this minifigure, and 3 of them came with the wrong helmet. So that was extremely aggravating, especially when the listing showed the correct trooper that I was looking for. I ended up buying a Sand Trooper, which had the original pauldron, so that not only knocked out the Stormtrooper, but it also gave me a real pauldron for Cody. I also got a security droid, and this is the one with the correct chest markings, as well as having the red markings on the back of the head. So outside of custom figures, all of the official ones are about done. But these last few are very expensive. I went ahead and got all of the Geonosian figures next. This includes the Geonosian. I gave him the green blaster instead of the red because that's a bit more unique. The Geonosian battle droid. Yeah, so the camera wouldn't focus on that character, and I tried to put a book behind it and it crushed the figure, but it's okay. And I also got the somewhat expensive and very fragile light blue super battle droid. It was cheaper to piece the minifigure together than to buy a complete one, and although the arm on the left side is a bit loose, I actually went back and kind of supported it with some super glue, and it holds on much better now. And no, I didn't directly glue the arm onto that connecting piece. What I did is I took off the arm very carefully. I took a really, really small pointy needle. It was actually a fish hook. And I dabbed a little bit of super glue on it, gently put the glue inside the crack, and then I put the arm back on and held it in place until it sealed. Now the arm is not stuck, it still swivels, but it's much tighter now than it was before, and also this super glue helps it not further crack. I also completed the Obi-Wan Kenobi from Episode 2. Now, this figure is missing one key detail, which is the headpiece. Unfortunately, I don't think anyone sells a printed copy of this head with that headpiece, but I'm still on the lookout for one, and if I find one, I'll just have to update this figure. The Gong Droid is the cheapest character in the game to buy, but good God is he expensive in real life. I did have to kit bash this one together, which is why the top is the old dark gray and the bottom legs are the newer light bluish gray. And personally, I think this Gong Droid looks better than any of the newer ones that have come out, but that's just me. Our next figure is the Battle Droid Commander. I decided to go for an orange torso piece for this, and I painted on these tan accents. And I also gave him his little walkie-talkie.
Roger, roger.
The Rebel Trooper gave me so much trouble. This figure is a kit bash of all sorts of parts. The torso came from Fig Fab Labs, the head came from the Minifig Co., and the helmet came from AV Figures. For some reason, the spray paint I used went bad, and it ended up eating the decal, and then I tried to hand paint the little black detailing on the helmet. And I think I did a pretty good job painting the black accents. Now, the face itself is not accurate. The figure has pointed straps instead of rounded straps, but that's such a small detail, and if I run across an updated version, I'll buy it. Next, I had to complete a figure that I had been dreading to complete. Queen Amidala is one of the hardest characters I think to get for this list. The reason why is because of her headpiece. The headpiece I chose was a rip-off Lego one coming from AliExpress, similar to the Jango Fett one. It's not 100% accurate, but I tried painting it to look close enough. And I think for now, it gets the job done. And from a distance, you can't really tell anyway. The shoulder pads came from Cape Madness. These are just two little red pauldrons that I just put together to give it the illusion of being like her shoulder pads in the game. I know the shoulder pads are supposed to be like black on the edges, but I didn't want to risk ruining these, so it's just going to stay red for right now. I would highly recommend checking out these little rounded pauldrons from Cape Madness. I've noticed a lot of people when they have the Queen Amidala figures, they don't have the shoulder pads, and I feel like having them, it just gives this figure an extra step up. I also ordered a tan cape from them to update my other Padme figure. And speaking of Padme, the next figure is Padme Clawed. The head and torso by Fig Fab Labs, as always, but the hair is from Venom LLC. Here's the version I got and painted. And Venom also sells a different version that's painted, but this version is more of like the Complete Saga hairpiece and not the original video game hairpiece. Here's the back of the figure and the hairpiece, and I think these both look fantastic. So let's get these figures on the display and let's update our other Padme. A couple of days later, another package arrived. And I was really excited to get this figure because it's one that I've always wanted, and that's the original Lego Droideka. I love this figure and I still say it looks great. Now I did have to take off the back leg and stick it onto the back of the display, which is what that little clamp is for. The way I built this thing, it's just not big enough to hold the entire figure, but that's okay. So while looking around online, I stumbled across this on the Fig Fab Labs Instagram. When I saw this, I immediately knew what it was. It was going to be Padme Battle. But the figure was going to be printed with a dark red torso. In-game, the Battle Padme torso is a dark, kind of reddish purple color. However, this color is not made by Lego, at least not on any torsos. Now Fig has made this figure before in a kind of lighter purple color, but honestly, because the color doesn't actually exist, I feel like dark red can work for this as well. So I ordered one. And here she is. I really like this figure in the dark red torso. I honestly think that it looks better than the purplish color that's also been released with this figure, but maybe that's just because I own it and I'm just happy to have it. The next package I got, I was super thrilled about. This PK droid is completely made by OMV Minifigs, and oh my god, it is amazing. These are 3D printed and hand painted, and I cannot believe how good this figure looks. I mean, it looks exactly like the one from the video game. It fits perfect on the Legos, and even these little bitty arms that it came with swivel, although I didn't get a video of that just because it's not really necessary, I would say. And I would just check out OMV's website in general. He has a lot of really cool custom-made minifigures, and I might even pick up a few more just because I really like the way they look. Also got another package from Brick Tactical, being this more accurate Darth Maul hilt. This now frees up another hilt for me to use for one of the other figures. I decided to put this extra hilt with the other Mace Windu that I have. I actually got the complete version of this figure for around $40 on eBay, which is pretty cheap for this figure, and I replaced the head with a Fig Fab Labs head, which is more accurate to the game, and I think this figure turned out great. I went from only having 4 complete minifigures to now only missing 7. And yes, I've already ordered all the other parts that I need. However, we have a problem, and I mentioned it previously. While making this video, I have to point out that the United States is having a bit of a tariff war with other countries. Why? And that's all I'm going to say about that. But it's kind of becoming a bit of a pain to get things overseas. I have packages going back to the sender, I have packages going missing or just being held up. I mean, it's just a complete mess. I know I've ordered some decals from SM again, and they were through Brick and Recreation, and they actually reached out to me saying, hey, sorry, they're holding your package and we don't know where it's at. So I have no clue what's going on there. It's just really frustrating because it used to not be that way. I used to get my packages overseas between 4 to 6 weeks, and now it's literally who knows if you're even going to get it. But luckily for y'all, I'm just going to time skip to where I get the packages. While waiting for the chrome pieces, I also got some new figures as well as some new parts to upgrade some of my older ones. I got a reddish brown hair piece for Qui-Gon Jinn, as well as a reddish brown hood piece for the Disguise clone. I also got this little package inside containing 3 figures, but only 2 of the figures I can showcase right now. Those being Boba Fett and the Royal Guard. I had to swap out the guard's hands because they came with the flesh tone ones and I needed the reddish brown ones. Both of these figures are by Bosk Customs and they look amazing. I also did an unexpected upgrade on the Grievous Guard. I managed stumbling across these unofficial LEGO figures that are supposed to be the complete saga Magna Guards. Now, I'm not going to say who I found these from in terms of how I discovered the source of these. It was from YouTube, but when I asked, where'd you get these? The guy deleted my comment, so no shout out to him. I know unofficial LEGO gets a bad rap, but these are actually really, really nice. The joints are tight, the plastic itself is a really sturdy, nice plastic. The only downside really is the cape, but the head prints are pretty dang good. Here is the old Fig Fab Lab head compared to the new unofficial one. And I mean, I love the Fig Fab Lab one, but this unofficial one is crazy in terms of how good it looks. I also made some modifications to his weapon, being the staff's little heel knot piece. I just sanded and filed that down, as well as filing down these little connector pieces. I don't know the official name of these pieces, but here's what they are. And here's the end result. I think these upgrades made this figure look a million times better. I also got one of the half-size capes for this figure, this to make it even more accurate, and I think that's what really seals the deal with this figure outside of the staff. But you could argue this figure is not accurate at all to the LEGO Star Wars video game variant. On the left is the original version of the character, and on the right is the TCS version. There is a difference, as you can see. The TCS version has a darker tone to it, like my figure does, and the head print is overall just bigger. Unfortunately, those pieces in the lighter gray color do not exist, so I just have to go with the dark gray. And although this head print on the unofficial piece is more accurate to the TCS version, that is the only figure I can find that looks that close. So I'm just gonna have to compromise there. And from a distance, you can't really tell anyway. That's such a minute detail that, I mean, you're just looking for problems if you're looking that close. I think it looks phenomenal, so it's staying the way it is for now, unless some new pieces pop up, in which case, sure, I'll upgrade then. And because I'm waiting on these parts, I've been rewatching the video, making sure I didn't leave anything out. And of course, I did, being General Grievous. This figure looks amazing. I know some people always crap on this one, but I've always liked this minifigure. And this cape by Capes for Minifigs looks fantastic, and the quality of it is amazing. So as of right now, it is December 9th, 2025, and I still cannot get those orders that I made. And all the video components, like all the clips, audio clips, music, everything that I've used in this video is starting to take up space on my computer, and I really need to free up some of my space. So unfortunately, I'm just gonna have to post this as a part 1, part 2. Fortunately, I already have the 5 missing figures. I'm just missing the chrome hilts and the decal for Palpatine. However, once I get those, I will immediately start working on part 2 and have it out, well, hopefully soon. It's just whenever I can get those pieces. But until then, I'll keep my fingers crossed, and I'll see you in the next one.